Right. We are ready to go. So let's get this show on the road. My name is Alex Brashears. I'm the admin for Hampton Roads, Multifamily, and more. And this evening, I am super, super happy to have Erin Hudson from Quattro Capital. I absolutely love what her particular group is doing. And anytime I have contact with anybody from her group, any of the partners, I know I always learn something, and they're just a fantastic team. So I really wanted to have them on because Erin specifically is doing a lot of really unique things in multifamily. She's a real hustler, going out there, finding deals, finding a way to pay for those deals. And I was like, she must talk to the group. So I will let Erin do a little bit of intro about herself and then get the process going.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Miss Alex, for the introduction. And thank you for inviting me to come speak with your group tonight. I just first and foremost have to give a shout out to some of my people because I see some familiar faces here and some names discreet. So good to see you on the call tonight. Of course, it looks like I got a couple of my Quattro Alliance partners, Christy and Amy. So good to see you. And Mom, I see you on here. So good to see you. So listen, I just have a couple asks tonight. And the first is that if you are open to it, I would love, and feel completely honored if you were open to turning on your cameras, because there's nothing that gets me more fired up than getting to see your faces. That's what literally, when Alex asked me to come, you know what I said to her? I said, bring as many people as you can. Why? It's not about me, you guys. I hope that tonight, taking time for my family and being with my husband, that I can leave an impact tonight, and hopefully somebody that just needs to hear whatever it is, a nugget or two that I drop, that you will run with it and take massive action. There's nothing I want more than for each one of you guys to win in your space in whatever it is. So tonight, as we speak, I'm probably going to share some things that maybe don't even have to do with real estate, but it's just something that you can apply in your daily life. And so I hope for tonight that you are willing to take some copious notes and at least just write 1 or 2 and maybe 3 action items that will help launch you to the next level, just by some things that perhaps I share. And for everybody that's turning on their cameras right now, you have no idea how much I appreciate it. I don't have to talk to like a black little square. I actually get to see some faces. Thanks, Cher, for turning that on. And so I super appreciate it. Richard Beachy, so good to see your name on the screen, my friend. So anyhow, without further ado, I am just going to start off just by sharing a little bit about my life, my past, kind of where I came from, where I'm at. But I hope that we can maybe, Alex, you can help kind of just pause and stop me for a second. You'll notice that I get pretty fired up about life. And sometimes I'll just get on a roll and I'll keep going. And so feel free, please, to just time me out and fire away with a question. And then at the end, we will most definitely open it up to Q&A and see where we can take it from there. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect. Let's do it.
Awesome. And then another thing I was going to tell you, you guys, Zoom, maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't. So for all of you out there, when you hear something really good or something that gets you fired up and a little bit excited, listen, we all can't hear one another clap, but what we can see is this. This is called the Zoom clap. And if you just do this, it's like, oh, I just got a nugget, or I'm excited, or what you just shared was money, something of that nature. So as much as you guys are willing to interact with me, the more I'm going to bring 110% and then some to tonight's call. Okay. So without further ado, Alex, is there anything or anyone we need to wait for before we fire away?
We are ready to go. Let's do it.
Awesome. So just by a share of hands, how many people are in the multifamily space? I'm just trying to get an idea who's doing single family, who's doing multi. So if you're doing multifamily, raise your hand. Awesome. And have we got any single family operators out there? A few of those. Okay, very cool. Awesome. I've done both. I love both. But anyhow, let's go ahead and let's go back to the start. So I'm a mom of 5 beautiful kids. And, you know, sometimes I have those days where I'm like, look, today they're free. Who wants one? I'm not even going to make you pay. So how many of you can relate with me on that one at times? Raise your thumb. Am I the only one out there? I hope not. Anyhow, so I have 5 beautiful kids, and there's nothing I want more for my kids to have, far more than I ever had. And so when I look at just my past, so you guys can have an idea, I grew up in a home with some incredible parents, loving, so kind, so generous, so hardworking. But I will tell you, they were the ones that had a job, a job, which stands for just over broke or jail. And the reason I say that is because they truly were living and working for another individual 9 to 5, and their job owned them. So what it looks like for me is them at work all day, coming home tired and exhausted, all to build somebody else's destiny. And so I remember at a very young age thinking, oh my gosh, I so don't want that for my life. I just want to be an entrepreneur. I just want to be my own boss. I just want to do whatever I want to do. And I'm going to build my empire. And I had no idea what it looked like. I just had a desire in my heart that was so strong. And so I had to walk it out, right? And so with that being said, I love my parents. They did the best they could, but I knew I wanted something different. And so fast forward, I ended up becoming a chiropractor in 2009. And within 2 years, or within a year, I opened up my second practice. And I really just I had 30 employees, or a good handful at that time of employees. And I was really like, probably getting a little bit greedy, where I wanted more and I wanted more and I wanted more. And it really became that point where I hired a coach to come in and to really help me so that I could scale my business. And believe it or not, she came in and she said, you know what? I started to coach with her, and it was her. She got to take a peek at the company and how I was running it. And she said, oh my gosh, I see what the problem is. And so I said, well, what is it? And she goes, well, you're the problem in the company. And I said, what? And she said, you are trying to do all these $10 an hour jobs and you're getting in your own way. How many have ever had that like epiphany where you're getting in your own way and really you're worth far more, but you're finding yourself in those $10 an hour jobs? Again, am I the only creature out there that gets caught doing the minutia where somebody else should be doing it? Right? So you don't know what you don't know, right? It's almost like we have blinders on. So fast forward, I remember I was kind of hurt when she shared that with me. And I said, gosh, man. She goes, we're not going to do our next coaching session until you hire 5 people. You need to take some of the weight off you. And I remember thinking, like, who are you to tell me when I hired you for $1,000 an hour to coach me, to help me scale my company, and now you're firing me, in essence, right? And so that was kind of what went through my head. And I remember just being real butthurt. I was sad. I was mad. I was, I really was like, all right, well, who is this lady anyways? After some self-reflection, I realized that I truly was doing the wrong things that were not the best use of my time. And why I'm sharing this with you is for this. It was the best thing that ever by far could have happened to me. Some of you may be wondering, well, why is that better? She fired you and so on and so forth. Listen, I brought in all these other employees. I made jobs, right, for individuals. And not only that, I was no longer trying to greet my patient, checking my patient out and taking them up to the front desk. I literally was loving on my patients, and then everybody else was doing all the other work. And all of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, is this really what it's like? This is pretty cool. But now I've got so much time in between patients and so on and so forth. So fast forward, it was in my practice where I got introduced to real estate. I had another friend who had invested in real estate, and all of a sudden he was laying on the table and he was talking to me, and he started to talk about mailbox money. And I was like, what the heck is mailbox money? So anyhow, long story short, after pursuing what this mailbox money was all about, I knew that that's the direction I wanted to go in. As a matter of fact, I always was interested in real estate, but I never thought it was possible for me. I don't know if either of you guys have ever thought that, but like, oh, I could never do that. I don't have the money to do that. Like, how would I ever do that, right? And so those were some of the limiting beliefs that I walked out at the time, way back when. So fast forward, my buddy had said, no, yeah, you definitely should get into the single family. And so I started to research it more. And in due time, I got on fire for it. And within 2 years, I had purchased 26 rental properties, really just structuring them, which we'll dive into here just shortly. structuring them in such a way that, what if I told you that I bought 4, sold 3, and kept 1 for free? So that's how I did it. And that's how out of my 26 portfolio, I ended up getting 12 to 14 for free, right? So that's what happened there. I'm going to give you the high level of my whole story, and then we can dive back into the nuggets. Okay. So anyhow, that's what happened with the single family. And fast forward in my practice, all of a sudden my friends, my family, and patients of mine were saying, hey, can you help me? And so sure enough, I ended up helping some friends and family. And we did over 230 buy and sell transactions within a 3-year time frame. And here's the thing, y'all, listen. I did not have a website. And as a matter of fact, I have a friend on here that can vouch for me. I did not have a website. There was nothing about me that was professional compared to everybody else out there. As a matter of fact, I had held a webinar at one point because there was a lot of people interested in, there was only so much time that I had. And I held a webinar, and somebody we had a Q&A going on, and somebody straight up asked the question, y'all. They said, well, Erin, why should I go with you when there's company ABC down the street who's been at it for 15 years? So the amateur could very well say, oh, I'm better. You should come with me because I'm going to do you well, or whatever, right? That was not the tune I sang. You want to know what the tune was that I sang? I said this, listen, let me tell you, ABC is probably a phenomenal, completely vetted company that's been around for many years. They've got quite the stack, and I sure do not have their stack. So it's probably in your best interest to go with them. And the person was really caught off guard, but it was like, here at the end of the day, it's time to stand up and do something great, but do something right and ethical that's good for people, by people, right? And so here was my story to them. I would say to them, you know, when I first got in and I bought my first 6 homes, I paid $50,000 a home. Okay. So what happened was when I got out there and I started purchasing these homes in Indianapolis, here I was from California, purchasing in Indianapolis, what I found out is what I was paying $50,000 for to get into, I could buy for anywhere between 30 and 35, let's call it, right? So imagine for a moment, what if all of a sudden the individuals that are wanting to come and work with me, and I share with them that they could pick up a home, let's just call it for 40,000. At the end of the day, it was very clear that I could say, look, what I paid 50,000 for, I'm able to get you 40,000. So you're still getting a far better deal than what I had to start with when I got started. Do you see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, the choice is theirs, whether or not that they wanted to do business. Does that make sense? So there are so many ways, y'all, to skin a cat. And this is what makes this real estate space so much fun. Okay. So that was the single family. We'll come back to it. Let me continue on here. Unless, Alex, you decide. I'll start to transition more into the other, unless you want me to stay in this space for a little bit and answer questions and share more.
I think if anybody has questions, maybe on the single family space, Ryan's asking, where were you wholesaling?
I love it. So check this out. Have you guys ever heard of this? He who solves the biggest problem gets the biggest paycheck. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. Okay, if you haven't heard it, you best be writing that puppy down, because it applies to every area of your flipping life. Every area. He who solves the biggest problem gets the biggest paycheck. So Ryan, we're going to go answer that question there. Check this out. So yes, there are wholesalers out there. And for those of you that are not familiar with what a wholesaler is, let's dive in and talk about it just for a second. A wholesaler is somebody, let's just say that I'm selling a property and Alex says, oh, I want to buy it. And Alex wraps it up and puts it under contract between her and I. Okay. And all of a sudden she goes and finds Jan, and Jan wants to buy the property. So her and Jan tie up the property, and it gets assigned over to Jan, right? So maybe in let's call it in Indianapolis, maybe you get $2,000 for assigning a contract. It's literally just assigning it. You're not doing anything to the property. You're just saying, I found a great deal. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to assign it to somebody else, right? That's all that is. Okay. So some people are like, oh, wholesaling is so great. But listen, you've got to find your end buyer who's going to buy it. And if you don't have the end buyer or a pool to fish from, it's pretty difficult. Okay. So let's go back to he who solves the largest problem gets the biggest paycheck. So after I bought that 6-pack of homes in Indianapolis, here's what I did. And I want you, the reason I'm sharing these stories is I want you guys to grab nuggets. At the time when I bought these properties, I had 3 properties being managed by one property manager, and I had 3 properties being managed by the other property manager. So when I took them over, of course, one of the property managers says, Erin, can I get the other 3 homes from you? And I said, you know what? I love your bold question, but here's the deal. I'm going to see who gives me the best service and treats me the best, and that's who's going to get my 6 properties. So game on, show me what you got, right? And that was the conversation. He goes, wow, that's pretty cool. So fast forward, I ended up working with my property manager, right? And so when we got these properties that I was turning and selling, sometimes they had a tenant, sometimes they didn't. But here's the deal. If I could put a tenant in place and maybe just paint the walls and put in some carpet or perhaps something under $5,000, if I could put a little bit of into it, if I needed to, sometimes I didn't have to, and I could go, I don't want to say solicit because that's not the right word, but if I could have that inventory available, that I'm not just selling you a property that now needs somebody to go fix it and go find a tenant for it and go find a property management for it. That's a little bit difficult, especially if somebody's living in another state. So don't you agree that it would be much more appealing if I had a turnkey property for them? And better yet, I had a tenant in it. Don't you think that would be more appealing to buy? So guess what? Does it make sense for me to make the $2,000 being a wholesaler? Or does it make sense to use what I've already got in place, which is all my property management, my little construction guy, if I need him to do some work, or / handyman, right? And we've already got a tenant in place. So does it make sense to utilize the resources I have for me to in turn, I don't know, make $5,000 to $8,000 instead of just the $2,000? Do you see what I'm saying? I solved a problem that out-of-state investors are going to have because they don't have the resources or the contacts, and there's nothing but intimidation for the most part. So I helped solve that. And I said, look, this is my property management company that I've been using. They're phenomenal, incredible. They've already got it under contract. You don't have to do anything except for write the check, take over ownership, and collect the payment. I don't know about you, but doesn't that sound pretty appealing? Versus, oh my gosh, who am I going to find? Yeah, thank you, Jan. Love you. Hugs your way. I see this. Awesome. Anyone else think that's cool? Would you rather do the turnkey versus the wholesale?
That sounds really good. So you kind of like wholesale turnkey instead of, okay, I like it.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So, since we're on this topic, let's dive in, because I want to just let's dive into this arena, and then Alex, please stop me and start to transition me when we need to. You guys are probably thinking like, okay, well, how the heck did she get into this single family? Who was her coach? Where did she get mentoring? Like, how did she start to go, buy 4, sell 3, keep 1 for free, etc.? I want to tell you guys something. Dependent on how bad you want something, you will figure out a way. And guess what? The proof is in the pudding with your actions. It just is, right? So check this out. When I say this to you, I'm literally, my hair is raising on my arms right now because it brings me back to the day of when this occurred. How many of you guys know what a double close is? Raise your hand if you know what a double close is. And if you don't, that's okay. I just need to see my audience. Okay, so I don't want to confuse you too much, so I'll try and keep it very simple. But basically, there is a way for you to put a property under contract. I'm going to use Alex, okay? I'm the seller. Alex is the buyer, and Alex and I have a contract. Alex then in turn creates a contract between Amy. Both of our contracts are set to close on the same day, okay? Alex and my contract is for $50,000. Alex and Amy's contract is for $60,000. You guys see the difference, okay? So we close on the same day, right? And Amy is the end buyer. So she puts her $60,000 in title, and my contract was for $50,000. So do the math. 60,000 minus 50,000 is $10,000 left over. Is everybody following that? Give me a thumbs up if you follow that, if you tracked. So that is how I started. And I put, in essence, $10,000 in my pocket on the first deal. But listen, I did not know what the heck a double close was. I just knew Indianapolis was a savvy place, and I heard there was something called a double close. So if you could ask any of my partners what is Erin, if you had to give a definition of her, it's just grit. Like, you figure the shit, I didn't say it, but you figure it out and then you go make moves, right? You don't make excuses, you just figure out solutions. So here's what I did. Talk about bold. I call up the title company. Hey, Sally, I heard there's something called a double close. By the way, this is Erin Hudson. I heard I really wanted to reach out to you, and I heard that you guys do something called a double close. I am so new at this. I am so sorry, but is there any chance you could help a sister out? And she was like, yeah. I was like, do you mind just like breaking it down and just sharing with me slowly how it works? Literally, I had my pen in hand. I was taking notes, A to B, contract, same day, like literally writing out what I needed to do. I had no clue. And literally, after she shared with me, I turned on the magic and I went for it. I was like, I gotta go try this out, right? And so that's how I did my first few transactions, because I didn't have any extra money, right? I had just bought the 6-pack, right? So you just figure out a way, and that's also grit. I'm going to go backwards to that pack of 6 homes. I want to tell you something about those 6 homes, and I hope you have some takeaway. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask who has the biggest takeaway when I share this story. So 6-pack of homes, we were really only set to buy one. And all of a sudden we find out how awesome these homes are. And I had no idea. Coming from Southern California, a median house price is $800,000 for 1,500 square feet of an old house. All of a sudden you find out Indianapolis has houses for 50,000 and they're 800 or 900 square feet, but they have wood floors and the walls are painted and it looks perfect. I had no idea they existed. So I said to my husband, babe, I don't think we should just buy one. I really think we should get all 6. And he goes, well, how in the world are we going to get the money for it? I said, I don't know. We just got to figure it out. So at the time I had $100,000 in my bank account. And I said to my husband, I said, why don't we just, I know he wants 300,000, but let's just ask if we can get a deal. So he's like, babe, we're already getting them for cheap. Like, why, you're going to hurt this guy's feelings. And I'm like, I don't care. If we don't ask, you don't get. So I call him and I see if he'll take 275,000. And anyways, we ended up negotiating on 278,000 for these homes. And from there, I purchased those homes, but I did not have the money. I had $100,000. I took $30,000 cash advance off my credit card. I went and proposed to my father-in-law, paying him 8%. And again, I said, hey, how would you like to be the bank for me, make an 8% return and have it backed by real estate? If I default, you get these homes and they already have tenants in them and they're cash flowing. So you guys, that's how I got it. I didn't say, oh crap, I don't have the money, I can't do this. Why? Because that's what a weak suck would say. Figure out a solution. Go partner with someone. Go ask grandma and grandpa. So anybody want to share their big takeaway from just that little blippet of a story? Did it open up anyone's eyes or make you think differently? Come on, someone say something.
Don't get discouraged by anything.
That's right. I was going to say basically the exact same thing. Have some serious tenacity.
Yeah, just don't get discouraged. It's pretty awesome. Anyhow, so with that being said, that's one for the single family space. With that also being said, I don't want to blow your mind too much here, but yes, you might be thinking, how in the world did she do 230 plus transactions in a 3-year time period? And I just want to share with you what a portion of this looked like. Yes, there was a package that we had access to of 70 homes that these Chinese investors were going to buy, and they ended up backing out. Stock market had crashed sometime back, and they said, you know what, we're going to pull out on this package. And I had just run into it. And it was the coolest thing. I had spoke on some webinar and I was at some event, and I had a lot of people that were interested in getting into the single family game. And so I had already gotten the prices on this 70 pack, and I had broke them down to what the price was per house. And I had gone to this event and I had a lot of people that were really interested in purchasing. So I went back to the owner, and we had already negotiated prices. And I said, hey, listen, if I can get you 18 contracts in the next 24 hours, are you willing to drop the purchase price $3,000 per house? And he's on the phone. He goes, good luck with your bad self, but sure. Like, yeah, good luck, right? Anyways, we far surpassed that, and we ended up doing 24 and got $3,000 off each one of those homes, which is awesome, but kind of like an infomercial, it only gets better. So what happened was, imagine with me for a second, the price that I have. So like if I'm able to pick it up for a certain price, and I'm just going to use round numbers. Okay. These are not the numbers. I'm going to use it for simplicity's sake. Let's just say that you pay $30,000, that I had to pay $30,000. Okay. And I turn and I sell it to somebody for $40,000. Can we all agree that there's $10,000 in profit on that one house? Okay. So you don't have to do the math, but what I'm going to tell you is from those 24 transactions that I did, I ended up walking away to the tune of roughly around $300,000, okay, of proceeds / profit. So what I did is this. I could either get the $300,000 and have to pay taxes on it, or I could say, hey, seller, I know you really want to get rid of your inventory. So how about if I take that money and I trade it in for your other houses? So basically, that's how I got 12 houses, was from that positioning. And we both won at the end of the day. Because again, if you make things so that both parties win, then you're going to come out on top, and so will the other party. So check this out. He was happy because he got rid of his inventory. I was happy because I didn't have to pay taxes on, I think it was $275,000 or something around there, on $275,000, right? So my basis was low. Why? Because I paid $1 for each one of those homes on paper through the title company, right? But it's fun strategy when you can position yourself like such and create deals like that. It's like fun. So just imagine taking it from the single family space and moving it to the multifamily space. So any questions before I move on from here in regards to the single family?
When you say you secured 24 contracts, was that you secured 24 buyers for those homes?
Correct. Some of the buyers bought 2 or 3, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you.
Which markets do you work in now? So I'm no longer doing single family whatsoever. When I found out, anyways, I'll make it as part of my next story. So, but yeah, I'm not doing any more single family. I have something greater, and I just feel like I would be doing a disservice not walking out that position and the gold that I found. So that is really for that piece. So we can move on here. So basically, takeaway from that so far is this: mom of 5, 2 practices, still had time to figure out how to do 230 plus transactions, right? And had a husband and do you guys get it? If it is important, you will figure the crap out. If it's important. All I know is I was on a massive mission to build a legacy that is unstoppable for my family, because I found the power and had the tools to be able to do it. And so that's why I get so fired up, because I'm like, you guys, there's opportunity everywhere. It just depends if you want to ride the wave or not, right? So anyhow, let's move on. So with that being said, here I am figuring out the single family. I get invited to go to this multifamily event. And I remember thinking, why in the world am I even going to this thing? It's only for rich people. Rich people buy apartments. I have no business being in this arena with those kind of people. And I will tell you, I sat there in the front row, initially with my arms crossed, and midway through, all of a sudden I had the aha moment. It was as if the Red Sea parted, and it was this: do I want to continue to play the game of Monopoly, land on Vermont, i.e. the single family houses, or since I just heard it's possible, do I prefer to make my rounds and land on Boardwalk, right? Because I just found out it's possible to have 50 doors, 1 roof, and have a hotel and land on Boardwalk, and I didn't have to be a multi-millionaire. And that is really the pivotal moment that I had. And that's where I started to make the shift. went back to some of my investors and said, hey, hang tight, because guess what? There's something even bigger and better than single family, but it's going to require a lot larger learning curve. So hang tight. When I get there, I'll take you with me if you so desire, right? So anyhow, that started in July 2017. And if I told you it was all rainbows and butterflies from the get-go, it would be an absolute, complete lie. So with me, you're going to get nothing but just real, and you're going to get nothing but raw. And so with that being said, again, the reason I share is for you to have takeaway and decide to pivot if you need to, depending on the course that you're going, whether you're having success or you're feeling like you're getting stuck, right? So with it, I felt like I was trying to wear all the hats. I was trying to find the brokers. I was trying to find the money. I was trying to find the properties. I was trying, you get it? I was trying with all the hats. And that is nothing but a total burnout. And I remember, you know, just for a while thinking, man, is this really what it's all about in this space? This is hard stuff. And I also remember thinking, shoot, you really got to have partners for this thing. And I was part of a RE mentor. It was a group where we learn and we get our education from, but there's a lot of the same, the colleagues that are in this space. You see them at the events every single month, right? And so with that being said, I ended up doing a deal with a group of people that I kept seeing at the same event, and we found a deal and seemed like we were completely like-minded. And I will tell you, we were far from like-minded once we closed that deal. And so what I have to tell you there is, do not be foolish like I was, thinking, oh yeah, this is great, and really to listen to your gut. Because when I look back, what I really was wanting was to get a deal. It had been some time. I thought, gosh, because I'm a good person, everybody else is a good person, just in general, right? Because I'm ethical, because I'm honest, because I'm full of integrity, so is everybody else. You have to make sure that your values line up with those people that you are getting in business with. It is more crucial, my friends, than the deal itself. It is more crucial than the property manager that you're working with. There is nothing more important than working with a solid team that can execute, okay? So going back to my story, it was a little bit rough after I closed my first, you know, one of the deals. Anyways, when I closed it, I just remember thinking, man, this is rough. And I kind of felt a little bit jaded. And I just remember thinking, I'm not sure if I could step out in this space. And anyhow, fast forward, God is good. I will tell you that. He knows, he hears our cry. He knows when we're hurting. He sees the beginning from the end. And here's the thing. I could have chosen to be a weak suck. And it doesn't matter what I went through. I could have chosen to be that weak suck, throw in the towel, give up, and say, this isn't for me. I'm not cut for this. I very well could have, right? And it doesn't matter the story. I hope I'm leaving enough of an impression for you to make sure that you do not just get in bed with anyone. And you know what I mean? I'm talking about business. Get your mind out of the gutter. So with that being said, I was at this RE mentor, our training that we had come from, and they were awarding me for closing on 100 plus units. And they said to me at this event, what is it you did to celebrate? And I said, I'm so glad that you asked. And I shared, my heart is really for the poor. My heart is for the hurting. My heart is to go help people that can't help themselves. Meaning that I take my family and we go to, my husband at that time had just gotten back from Nicaragua with my son, feeding the poor. We had been to Belize, building an orphanage. We'd been to Haiti, and just other places. But our heart at that time was for Nicaragua. And we had built 12 homes for the single moms that were living in a trash dump in Nicaragua. And I said, man, we celebrated, we built our 13th home in Nicaragua for these single moms. It only cost $5,500. And we give them, it is, whoever's asking that question down there, I'm sorry, I can't see your name. It's called King's Ransom. That's the group that we work for, nonprofit. 100% of the proceeds go to the poor. So anyhow, I lost my train of thought when that question came in, sorry. And so I said, yes, we also build a chicken coop to help them self-sustain. And you guys, it was the most embarrassing thing. All of a sudden I started to have these tears that just started to come down my eyes. And I was sharing just with the audience of the crowd that, mind you, Here I am in a room of 1,000 people, kind of mortifying that here I am with tears coming down my face that I couldn't even help. And I just said to the audience, the people in front of me, I said, when you go serve and you love on someone that can't take care of themselves, and you get to be a part of that beauty, and you get to be a part of kids in an orphanage that don't even have pairs of shoes or a toy box, and you give them a pair of shoes and they have a smile on their face and they cry over shoes, friend, that is enough to leave an impression on one's heart that you will never forget. And the fact that I get to show my kids that was powerful. So here I am on the stage. I start to get tears in my eyes and it just came out. I got this burning in my belly. And I said, as a matter of fact, I'd love to build 2 more homes if I can get 2 people to match me out in the audience. And this gentleman in the back raises his hand up high and he says, I'm in for a home. And the lady up in the front row says, I'm in for a home. Fast forward, within 10 minutes, we had raised over $55,000 and built 10 homes for the single mamas in Nicaragua. It was such a beautiful thing and so uber powerful. Thank you for all the hands. I appreciate it because that is my heart. So that night, I go to bed, I'm getting ready for bed and I'm like, man, Lord, why did you do that to me today? I'm just curious. Why did you do that to me? Because I totally could have got rejected amongst all of these people that, you know what happens with apartment people. They're all pretty much like A personality, like hardcore, right? For the most part. Maybe I'm being stereotypical, but it's pretty true fit. And so I could have totally got rejected off this stage. And the good Lord says to me so loud and clear, remember after I'd walked through that crap, you guys, and I was about to give up, he said, listen, he goes, I want you to step up and rise up. And those that rise to the occasion to pour in such a great a cause as this are the same exact people that I want you to align with in this multifamily space. And at the time I was like, man, what does that look like? That's kind of weird. Thanks for the download, but weird. So fast forward, after I got back from that event, it had been, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I'm following up with some of the people. Let me tell you, when I say fast forward, God is so good. The gentleman that stood up in the back of the room is Maurice Philogene, who is one of my partners in Quattro Capital. He's from Haiti initially, hence probably what penetrated his heart to give to a great cause. And the woman that stood up in the very front is another one of my Quattro Capital partners. And so I cannot tell you, if your heart is in the right place and it is mission driven to do good for people in this crazy world that we live in, you cannot help but to win in life. I promise you, you cannot help but to win in life. And when you are linked properly with the right people who want to do good for people, it's a win all the way around. Listen, the truth is, I didn't even know who that was that stood up in the back of the room. I didn't even remember the chick that stood up in the front. Why? It was almost as if I was like, paparazzi was all around me, because there were just people just with such a good servant's heart that wanted to give. I could not remember anyone. I was so overwhelmed with what had unfolded in 10 minutes. But I'll tell you, that Quattro Capital team that I have been blessed with, again, my hair is raising right now because I wake up every morning so elated. And I'm sorry for those of you that get offended with this comment. Plug your ears right now if you want to. But I get up at 5 in the morning. Why do I get up at 5 in the morning is what many people ask. And my response to them is, if you were heading in the direction I'm heading in, your ass would be up at 5 in the morning as well, right? Because I'm on a mission to go leave a flipping blazing trail so heavy, so strong, not just for my gain, to go serve the people that need a place to live. What do we consider our home? It's our serene, it's our safe place. So we have a job to go create that for other people, do we not? Just because they live in an apartment means nothing different than somebody who lives in a house. Could you imagine if we have a heart to bless the people that live in our community to the tune by wanting to plant a garden? Could you imagine? I've got a partner, Christy, who's on this call that just started this, to plant a garden here at one of our apartment buildings. Another one of our apartment buildings, we want to bring in a tutor, some teenage girls that can come in and tutor the young kids that live in the apartment building. Why? Twofold. We are blessing and doing what's right for people, but could you imagine the gratitude of a mama who doesn't have the time and lived perhaps like mama's at work all day, just like when I came home, mama wasn't there, right? When I'm coming home from school, could you imagine if mama had somebody that was there to help tutor their kids? That's what I'm talking about. Quattro stands for making and leaving an impact, right? So that's what gets me so fired up. I did not mean to go on a tangent with that, but I just feel incredibly blessed. And it goes back to even, yes, there are 5 people on my team. We've got 5 partners. And not only that, we've got incredible alliance partners that have linked arms with us, such as Amy that's on this call and Christy that's on this call. Both of these women, we had created something really, really cool, but both of them are our partners with Quattro Capital. And here's how it works. Check this out. So what happened is, remember how I told you I had a bad experience and I couldn't find partners for that whole year and a half that I was going at it? I can't be the only one out there in our space that does not have a partner. It just can't be so, right? And so Christy's a great example. Christy had been at it for a year and a half, had no partners. This chick is on fire. She literally found, Christy, do you mind if I share your story? I really don't want to, unless
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Do it.
I love you. Thank you for letting me share because I hope it inspires. You guys got to hear this story. Criminy, it's probably going to make me cry. Anyways, I know Christy from RE Mentor. Check this out. This girl is a brainiac. She comes from the oil field, from the oil industry, sorry. Super brainiac girl who lost her job year and a half, or quite some time ago, year and a half ago. She goes into the multifamily space thinking what we all think, that, oh my gosh, it's going to rain right away and we're going to get in a deal and we're going to take this down. It's going to be wonderful. And oh my gosh, there's going to be water and running or money trees like dropping them in our face, right? Not for her, not for me. So this sweet girl actually found us having deal merge right now, 110 unit apartment building in Georgia. Okay. She does the underwriting on it. She's absolutely brilliant with underwriting and comes to Quattro and says, hey, I heard that you guys link arms with people that have deals. And I hear that you guys are class act. And not only that, I hear you guys give 50% of the acquisition fee to the deal finder. Is that really so? And so long story short, let's just talk about Miss Christie. Miss Christie had lost her job, literally had no place to stay, was homeless for a bit, could not afford groceries, was in the middle of maybe her car getting repossessed or taken away, couldn't pay her bills, okay? And all of a sudden, just imagine for a minute, she brings this deal to us. We decide that we're going to move forward with it, and it's an incredible deal. Quattro sticks to their word and pays out the 50%. And I'm going to let Christy tell you how much she got the day that we closed that property. And this girl will never be the same and had tears coming down her face. Go ahead, Christy. Tell them how much you got.
Yeah,
Or
the
tell
wire
whatever else testimony there.
the wire total for that deal was $207,000.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
$207,000. That was a life changer for me. It paid my debt. And now I've got more deals in the pipeline for Quattro.
And everything I said about how you were living just on the edge right there, I'm not sure how you were going to get by, is absolutely true, is it not?
It is true.
I mean, this chick's on fire. So with that being said, we're getting ready to close on another deal that Christy brought, an 80 unit at the end of the month. And let me tell you something. It's not to be braggadocious about what Christy's doing. Christy is really great at staying in contact, but what happens when you close a deal? It doesn't matter if it's Quattro or whoever. Work with somebody that's got a stack, because when you close a deal, that broker does what? Do they come to me or do they go to Christy? They go to Christy because Christy's the one that closed the first deal. She now falls under the umbrella of a Quattro alliance partner. She's got the stack now because Quattro closes. That's the reputation we have. And guess what? She got granted another deal. It was from the bank. It was a repo. And so now that's going to put another chunk of money, 5 figures in her pocket, right? And I won't tell you the next one, but she's got maybe a $24 million deal that we just got an accepted offer on. Just saying. So anyways, talk about changing people's life. That's exactly where it is. And when I say I get the pleasure of working with the most incredible people, I get to work with the Christies and I get to work with the Amys. I have Miss Amy that's on the call too. We're getting ready to take down her first property next month. We're closing on in Clarksville, Tennessee. And this woman, whoever doesn't know her, you need to meet her. She is literally sweet as pie. and has a heart of gold to help anybody who needs help in this space, because the truth of the matter, everybody that is part of Quattro has a heart to do good and help people to win in this space. We don't eat our kind. We're here to help one another to win. Truly, truly, truly. And it's really about having that kind givers gain heart, not a taker. There's too many takers in this space. So be a good, bold light that has a great reputation, because this is a big space, y'all, but it's really a small space. The people that are really doing things, it's a very small space. So you always want to have a good reputation, because everybody certainly can hear about the bad stuff. So be that positive light for sure. So with that being said, Quattro has taken down 9 deals just in the last 12 months. And again, it's because we get to link arms with people like a Christy and like Amy's, and we get on calls with them every single week, multiple times, and we all get the pleasure of working together, which is absolutely amazing. And then we've got, gosh, I think 4 more in the pipe right now. And so you may be wondering, how in the world are you doing it? So I want to touch on this, because I want you to see from both sides. You may be saying, that's crazy. How in the world could you take down that many properties and still be efficient? I'm going to talk to that twofold. Number one, there are 5 of us. And I want you to think for a moment, because I hear this all the time in the multifamily space. Oh, it's best to just have 2 partners. Why? Because we don't want to dilute it. You're going to dilute the returns and what you're going to make on the acquisition fee. You're going to have to pay too much to all the, dude, get your head out of the flipping gutter. Better yet, get it out of your colon, because the truth is you can do so much more together. So think of Quattro as like the football team. When you're playing on a football game, there's the linebacker, I don't even know the different players, but there's a lot of different players, or what they're called, on the team. It takes a few players to get the ball across the finish line. Fast forward, if you have all the aces in their places, it's more efficiently ran to the finish line. Okay, so same concept. And let's go back again to, remember how I told you that I was trying to wear all those hats? Remember at the beginning? Imagine, friend, for a minute. Imagine for a minute. I want you to think about, what is your greatest superpower? Just think for a sec. Is it talking to people? Is it underwriting properties? Is it finding properties? What is your superpower? Because last time I looked, we have choice here, my friends. And what I would encourage you to do is stop being an Erin that tried to wear all the hats at the beginning. Go hone in on your superpower, because I can assure you, if you hone in on your superpower, you will become magnetic. People will see, people will know what you're made of. People will, and at the end of the day, who doesn't want to walk in the best place for them, where they are the most strength, right? And that's the beauty of a team. My greatest weakness is my other partner's strength, and vice versa. And so we all bring something great to the table, which in turn, now we're blessed with a synergistic team between all of us. And guess what? We can carry the ball across the finish line again and again and again. So let's use Amy, for example. On a deal that we're doing right now, her deal is a 58 unit. Because she's so intelligent and she's been able to work with Quattro and honed in on her skill set even more, this chick has done most of the deal. Like when it comes to due diligence, yes, we help with all of that, but she's literally dialing out and following the task list and just hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. With her doing that, it makes our job a little bit lighter, so we can still carry on and still make some traction, right? And make some moves. And at the same token, we give her and empower her. This is her deal. This is not us taking her deal. We're going to link arms with her to help buoy her up and to help her team to be strong together. Why? Because she's going to get so confident that she's going to go walk it out, and Amy's going to already go take down the next deal. So we're empowering our people that we work with to be equipped with the finest skills, even far better than what they had learned before. Same with me. We're always learning, and every day we're enhancing those skill sets, and it's never going to end. It's knowledge and knowledge and knowledge to help take us to the next level. Does that make sense? Everyone give me a thumbs up if this is all making sense, right? So I'll pause because I've been talking an awful lot. I see some things in the chat, but I can't read anything. I just see there's 20. So do we want to pause and ask questions?
And a lot of the questions I think Amy addressed about how to contact you. So she did share your email address for you, Christy, and Amy herself. So thank you for very much for doing that, Amy. I love it.
Aw.
There was a question about, do you accept non-accredited investors? And she went ahead and did address that your team does accept sophisticated investors in your pipeline. And
Yeah.
let's see. And then I think that was all the questions. So if anybody has some additional questions, feel free to unmute yourself or go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and have those addressed in the last few minutes we have of the hour.
Chris,
gonna ask- Go ahead.
hey, my name's Larry. Do you do any type of new construction for multifamily deals, or you just do ones that are established?
That's it right now, established, open to doing it in the near future if it's the right fit. Definitely
Okay.
open to it. For sure.
I have a question. This is Cher. How do you move from like single family to multifamily? So kind of like a transition. Where should a newbie in the multifamily start? Is there any tips you can provide? Like what can we prepare ourselves if we want to step into that area?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Amy, help me out. What's Tim Fairless's book that he has? I forget the name of it. There's a book that I think that is really, really helpful. Somebody can put it in the chat. I know what I think it's Joe
It's the
Fairless.
best ever.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll
Joe
put it in the chat.
Fairless, the best ever. But also on that, honestly, if I had a choice to do it all over again, I think I would have found somebody that was doing it, and I would have a couple things. I would have asked if I could just help and add value. Thank you for holding up the book, sir. I would have found somebody that was doing it and asked if I could add value and help them in any way, if they would be open to somewhat letting me be like their lackey, because I think there's so much to be learned when you're in the trenches. And for me, I've got to be in it versus sitting there reading it. But that is a great book, for sure.
Sorry, Marcel's here. Totally selfish. I had a quick question going back to the Belize thing. I was the one asking a question. So my wife and I are going down there for a missions trip in May. And so I was just kind of curious just to kind of ask about your experiences, kind of where you went and just things like that.
Yeah. Belmapon, there was an orphanage there that we went for 3 years in a row for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, tell me about that. I'm dying to go someplace, and I want to go someplace and take a crew with me. Whoever wants to go, we're going to go do something great this year. As soon as they lift the barriers, we're going in. Anyways, yeah, no, very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And it may have to be, I feel horrible, Alex, because we didn't even get to talk about alternative investing or anything like that. As far as we use shipping containers as Airbnb short-term rentals, and that's a whole nother way that you can invest as well. We sell them specifically to be used as Airbnbs, and our kids each have their own little Airbnbs on our land, and they run their own little Airbnbs at 14 and 16 years old. Why? Because I want to equip them to have the skill sets at an earlier age than I had, so that they have more success in life with this space. So that's super fun. And we just purchased 15 acres in Fredericksburg, Texas, and we're doing a whole shipping container retreat, short-term rental Airbnb. So just fun stuff. I certainly love alternative investing.
Well, you know what that means. That's just a perfect excuse for somebody to reach out to your team to learn more, right?
Absolutely. But there's just so many different things that you can do. No wrong or right. It's really just whatever you have a taste for. There's a lot of money to be made in this incredible real estate space. And if any of you guys have questions or want to link up, I'd be happy to connect, and we'll share a Zoom link with you and see perhaps how I can add value and help you to move your needle forward. So I wish each of you guys great luck, and know that I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you for sure. This is a fun space, and I want each one of you to get a taste of it if you haven't already.
Absolutely. I cannot thank you enough. This turned out to be fantastic as always delivering more than what my expectation was. So I really hope you guys are paying attention and really took away some decent nuggets, because I know I did. If nothing else, mindset is like 90% of the battle in this type of business. And I think Erin 100% personifies that to a T. So I want to thank you for your time. I know your time is very valuable, and I hope you enjoy dinner with the husband and the 5 kids, and everybody, thank you for spending some time with your evening or in your evening with us this evening.
I just wanted to confirm your email is Erin at the quattroway.com.
Make sure you have 2 T's in there. www or Erin, I'm sorry, Erin at the quattroway.com.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful one, you guys. Take care. Happy to help.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye now.
Yeah.